Alright, you guys read the title of the video. This is gonna be the second last top 10 of this calendar year. And of course, it's my top 10 centers in the NBA right now. But before we get started, hit that like button if you enjoyed, since it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this video started. Now at number 10, I do have DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns. Now there has been some friction between DeAndre Ayton and the Suns, and I think it's a fact that he's been a pretty disappointing number one pick. But that being said, Ayton is still a very good player. Offensively, he can definitely put up points on the board, and he's also pretty efficient. He can score in the paint and also has a good mid-range jump shot. Not to mention, he is a pretty good rebounder, and he's also very good defensively. And last season, he did average 17 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and he shot 63% from the field. Now at number 9, I do have Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls. Now, I gotta say, he is coming off a down season. Last year, he was very inconsistent, and there's a lot of, Bulls fans that don't like him because of how he played last year, which is very understandable. But that being said, I do think that he is still a top 10 center in my book because, this is an overall list, so I do take into account performances from past years, and he has been pretty good, prior to 2022. Offensively, I think he still has the capability to, be a really good scorer and grab boards, and I also do think he can shoot well, at least when he's on. Again, he was inconsistent last year, and I don't think his passing is awful either. I will say, defensively, he's not very good at all, but yeah, again, Nikola Vucevic, he was inconsistent last year, but, he's still a top 10 center because it's an overall list. But next year, he has to bounce back. No other way around it. But last season, he did average 18 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and he shot 47% from the field. Now at number 9, at number 8, I do have Robert Williams of the Boston Celtics. Robert Williams last year, he was kind of unleashed. In the second half of the 2021 season, he really showed flashes of what he could be, and you could kind of say, in a way, that he did kind of break out in the second half of that year. But in 2022, we saw like a full season's worth of him playing at a really high level. Offensively, he's not gonna blow you away, but he's definitely good on that side of the ball. He's pretty good as a lob threat due to his athleticism. Not to mention, I do think he's actually not that bad of a passer. He can definitely dish out some dimes. But defensively is where he really makes his mark. He was extremely good last year as a defensive player. I think he was, he definitely finished high, I think, in the top, in the defensive player of the year voting. I also do believe he made an all-defense team last year, but he was just a straight-up monster last season on defense, and he was a big reason why Boston's defense was so good last year. But in 2022, he did average 10 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and he also had 2 blocks per game, and shot 74% from the field. Now coming in at number 7, I do have Jonas Valanca of the Memphis Grizzlies. Jonas, he's really just a solid all-around big man. I don't think he's really an all-star level player, but at the same time, I wouldn't call this guy like some mid-ass role player. I do think he is like an above-average starter, but, he can score the ball well. He has a pretty nice jump shot. As a rebounder, I think he's actually one of the best in the league when it comes to that facet of the game. And then defensively, he's also not that bad of a player at all. I know he's not gonna, blow you away as like an all-defense type of player, but, he can definitely hold his own. He's not a liability on that side of the ball. But last year, he did average 18 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and he shot 54% from the field. Now coming in at number 6, we have Jarrett Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's definitely a pretty big jump from the 7 to 6 spot in terms of talent. Jarrett Allen had a career season last year, and he was named an All-Star for the first time in his career. And Jarrett Allen, offensively, like Robert Williams, he's not going to blow you away. He's mostly just a lob threat, and due to his athleticism and size. And he's also pretty good as a rebounder. But, again, like Robert Williams, defensively is where he does make his mark. The guy is an extremely good defensive player, to say the least. Extremely good when it comes to protecting the rim, and also not that bad when it comes to the other aspects, like the little things. And Jarrett Allen, he was also a big reason why the Cavs on defense really, improved last year compared to 2021. And he was also, in my opinion, very, very vital when it came to Evan Mobley having a good rookie season. But yeah, last year, Jarrett, he did average 16 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and he shot 68% from the field. At number 5, I do have Domantas Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings. Defensively, he's just not that good. But offensively, Domantas Sabonis, he's definitely good on that side of the ball. He can score the ball well. He also is a pretty good shooter. Not the best three-point shooter, but he can definitely shoot, from mid-range, and just good at when it comes to scoring inside the arc. Also a pretty good playmaker, and he's also an extremely good rebounder, and he is an all-star level player, but aside from that, that's not kind of all I gotta say when it comes to Domantas Sabonis. Just like an all-star caliber player. Last season, with the Kings, he did average 19 points per game, 6 assists per game, 12 rebounds per game, shooting 55% from the field. I will say, though, that wasn't a bit of a small sample size. But, next year, now that he had like an offseason to really just develop chemistry with his teammates, I do think that he could have an even better season. Coming in at number 4, I do have Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Bam defensively is just one of the best defensive players in the league. I do think he is going to win a Defensive Player of the Year in the next 3 seasons, and I just feel like it's just kind of inevitable and just like a matter of time until he wins one. But yeah, he can guard virtually any position and is just a straight up beast defensively. That's all I can really say about his defense. Now offensively, he's undoubtedly worse. He can definitely, be a pretty good lob threat, and he's definitely good in the pick and roll due to his athleticism. I also do think he's also not that bad of a passer. However, I will say, I do want to see him, kind of grow more offensively, become a little bit better of a shot creator, and also, extend his range, because he has shown flashes of, a good mid-range jump shot, but I want to see that more consistently, and, maybe one day he does, extend his range all the way to the three-point line, but, Bam Adebayo, even though I do have some gripes with him offensively, defensively, again, he's flat out amazing, and offensively, he's not that bad of a player at all. But last season, he averaged 19 points per game, 3 assists per game, and 10 rebounds per game, shooting 56% from the field. And making our way into the top 3, we got Rudy Gobert of the Minnesota Timberwolves. In my opinion, I think he's one of the most overhated players in the league. Now, I don't think he's necessarily a perfect player, offensively, definitely kind of limited, and I really wish, he would be more diverse as a player on that side of the ball. And I will say, defensively, he's not exactly like Bam in the sense that he can guard, smaller and, faster players like point guards and shooting guards, but, Rudy Gobert is still one of the best defensive players in the league, and, maybe the best defensive player in the whole NBA. He might just be the best. I mean, he's won several Defensive Player of the Years throughout his career. But yeah, Rudy Gobert, even though he is not a perfect player, as I said before, He's an excellent defender. I think we all know that, unless you're an idiot, I guess. He's also, offensively, again, he is limited, but not that bad. He can be a pretty good lob threat, and especially if he is, I guess, given the ball more offensively, and, just, I guess, targeted more in a way. And as a rebounder, he's one of the best in the entire NBA, but last year, he averaged 16 points per game, 15 rebounds per game, which led the league in that category, 2 blocks per game, shooting 71% from the field. And our runner-up at number 2 is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, the past 2 seasons, has just been a freaking monster, to say the least. I mean, he's an elite scorer, just a pure elite scorer, an amazing rebounder, a very good defender, and he's also, not that bad of a shooter. Definitely has a nice mid-range jump shot, and, he can hit a 3 occasionally, not exactly stretch big, but, not that bad of a shooter, and he did lead his team to a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference last year, despite the fact that the team around him really wasn't all that amazing. And, he has been a top 2 MVP candidate, over the past 2 seasons. I mean, the only reason why he's not at number 2 is, because a certain someone exists. I think you guys already know who it is, but I guess I won't spoil it now. But last year, Joel Embiid, he did average 31 points per game, which was league leading, 4 assists per game, 12 rebounds per game, shooting 50% from the field. And finally, at number 1, I think you guys guessed it, but yeah, it's Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. I might be kind of biased as a Nuggets fan, but, I think it's very fair to say that he is the best center in the league. He is the back-to-back MVP, and even if you think Joel Embiid should have won it those 2 years, I mean, he was at the bare minimum a top 2 MVP candidate, and, he still won those, but yeah, Nikola Jokic, he might be the best offensive player in the NBA. He might be the best playmaker in the league. He's an elite scorer, an elite rebounder, a pretty good shooter in my opinion. And of course, last year, he was able to lead his team to a top 6 seed, despite the fact that, the help around him wasn't very good due to injuries. And I'll say this about his defense, it's not amazing. I think he's a neutral on that end, and sometimes he can actually be a positive, but sometimes, I will say, he can also be a negative, so it's mostly neutral, but sometimes it does fluctuate to being good or bad, but pretty much all I gotta say about him. Last season, he averaged 27 points per game, 8 assists per game, 14 rebounds per game, shooting 58% from the field. But with all that being said, that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. Thank you guys a lot for watching. It really means a lot to me. Again, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff, and check me out on social media. Links to my Twitter and Instagram, they're in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.